Greetings, greetings on this wonderful Sunday evening. I want to welcome my guests to the Sadie Sunday Show. It's a Sadie Sunday Show for the Woman Auxiliary of Local 26, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, coming to you live and alive. I'm happy this Sunday evening. It's a really nice day. It's turning out to be. I had a wonderful weekend in the name of the Lord. Thank God for that. And we want to welcome each and every one to our Sunday evening program. You know what we do over on this side. What we do, we examine the news. We like to take the news, we examine it, and sometimes we put it right back. There are often so many controversial things going on in the news, and we like to get it in. We like to have our audience weigh in on the matters as well as we come to you on a Sunday evening, live and alive. We welcome our studio guests and our million viewers that are listening with us. Each and every one, a wonderful Sunday evening. We our informative topics this evening. We continue to weigh in on spiritual awareness, spiritual happenings, and sexual abuse within the spiritual realm. This is a very ongoing topic since we discussed some of the issues last week. We wait a little bit longer as we see some of our studio guests is a little late this evening, and they really want to weigh in on this topic as we go along. So for Sunday evening, I want to say again, it's Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, Local 26, Woman Auxiliary, with your host, Sadie Gomez. And I want to thank my engineer this evening, Charlie, for being right on time and speeding us up as we wait to welcome our guests. But we are live and alive, and we go on with our conversation regardless. We have touched upon subjects of information in the news. We have touched upon some strange things that are happening, and we try to examine it. As I said, we often put it back. We don't touch too much on the political arena, although it's a very interesting place. We can dabble in at times while we wait for everybody else to join in and feel free to do so. Last week, however, we spoke about the incubus and the succubus, which we would like to elaborate on this week as we await some of our interesting guests to join the panel who would like to also weigh in on this subject. But as we are having in this atmosphere at the moment, politics, we are seeing our president with a lot of executive orders and a lot of changes that are being made in a lot of different systems. The educational system as well is one that we have to watch at. But if we should study what the president is doing, it brings us to mind what we should do, especially as far as education. Education, we have our kids, we have our young ones with us, and we ought to bring them into the limelight. We ought to bring them into truth. Most of the education that we have been given, our formal education, a lot of things has not been truth. But we were taught to observe a system, to follow a system, and to be in one with this system, which educated people pass on to other people, and we go along with such a program. Most of it is designed so you can be a reliable employer slash slave in the workplace. It does not provide you with a real source of education for life. Now, life education is quite different from your academic education as well. In life, there are applications which are made for your very survival. And these applications are made especially through application of spiritual, what should I say, tools. Spiritual tools are the tools that you most needed to go through your life with success, with simplicity, and with joy. If one does not have an array, I should say, of spiritual implements, it is very difficult to get through life, to face life, and to even interpret what life is really throwing at you. As we so learned on this side, because we have been in school for a few weeks, we know that all things happen spiritually first. All things are designed in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the physical realm, which is where we are. But when we elevate or we are awoken, as most of us said we are or would like to be, because it seems to be a big conversation right now about those who are awoken. But when you are awoken and your eyes are open and your pineal gland is active, you will now observe life from a spiritual aspect rather than just a carnal aspect. And these are some of the things that we are examining on this side on this Sunday evening. We are examining the application of spiritual implements into our regular life to make adjustments for simplicity and to alleviate a lot of complications that arrive, a lot of confusion and stress that goes with regular life when you are not able to interpret your life or your happenings using your spiritual tools. This is something that is rarely taught in schools, but we are here to give our people, our children, this sort of information so they can be well equipped upon this earth for the things that are coming and the things that are here to face us. We must apply spiritual teachings, spiritual learnings to all aspects of our life to break it down for the understanding, the understanding, the overstanding of things. That is the only way we would learn how survival is really upon this earth. You have to be equipped spiritually and carnally. You are formally trained by your parents, by your teachers, and of course, other higher forms of education that ones are willing to go to, or should I say, able to do so because of their educational skill. Educated people are great people. Education is a great tool, it's a great defense. But spiritual learning is a greater defense because this is an application you need throughout your life. It is the wisdom of the Almighty God. They said the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. So when we are here in the evenings, on our Sunday evenings, and we are gathered with family, we discuss spiritual things. We discuss things that are not normally discussed. We visit topics and chapters of life that ones would shy away from. But we are here this Sunday evening to do such because it is necessary at this time. For our children, our young ones, our siblings, we ought to equip them spiritually because this is the way the world is going right now. I am happy to discuss the spiritual awareness and the sexual awareness and sexual abuse. When my panel has filled up a little more, I have a few of my guests is willing to discuss. They spoke with me earlier today, so I'm hoping that they do come on. I don't know why they fall asleep at 7 o'clock. What kind of time is this? They seem to just fall asleep at 7 o'clock. But all the same, we're here and we're alive and we have our guests listening on the outside. I greet all my sisters on the outside from the various countries who are listening with us. My sister Donna, I don't see her today, but I greet you, Donna. I greet you, Sister Katisha, Sister Laura. I greet you all if you all are here with us. And I was expecting my other sisters to be here as well, seeing that they've asked me to bring a part two on this topic that they would like to weigh in. I am here. We are running live. So I'm just hoping that the people who would like to come in would soon join in a really timely fashion. In the latter part of the evening, we have our guests that will come on from the musical unit, and they would give us a treat with some of their wares that they are going to show up with, seeing that Local 26 is going to have a musical concert somewhere in April
Yeah.
26th. We are going to have a musical concert. We are showing and we are showing up, we are showing off. We are coming to you, telling you
Eh?
our,
Okay.
our various guests. I see we have our studio audience is filling up. We have our guest on stage. We want to welcome you this evening. Shiloh, we want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Greetings and
This
blessings.
is the Sadie Sunday evening program, and we welcome you. Shiloh is one of our musical guests. He's also our first vice president of the Local 26. Welcome to the show this evening.
Thank you. Greetings
If
and
you can hear
blessings.
me, welcome. Maybe his mic is off. Okay.
Greetings and
Welcome.
blessings.
Peace and blessing. We welcome you. As we await
Every time.
the rest of our studio guests, we want to welcome you to the show this evening. Welcome. How are you this evening, sis? We have Sister Rebecca with us this evening. We missed her for a little while, but she's here with us, and I really wanted to weigh in on this topic. She seemed to fall off just a little bit, but we often joked of the fact that sometimes the aliens take us. I'm trying to ride a little higher above than the spaceships this evening, so I kind of set my camera a little different, hoping that I would be able to communicate and stay on. So I don't know what's happening. My second guest is here. Welcome to the studio this evening, Miss Rebecca.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me?
Welcome to the
Welcome. Welcome. I'd just like to know our topic this evening. We're discussing spiritual awareness and the application of having these tools so we can alleviate some of the problems that life throws at us. And I was just saying, we need this school okay for 8 o'clock, if it's okay, prime time. So we would show something like that. We discuss also the succubus, which is a female sexual energy that come to men to pleasure them at night. And of this, that sometimes phenomena is conscious or unconsciously done. We have men in the panel that have discussed certain things with us, and we have our women here who will discuss certain things with us as well. So this was a continuation of what we did last week. So I don't know if my engineer, are you here? Are you able to show us anything on the incubus or succubus? Is it rated for this time of evening? Charlie, are you able to show us something on screen coming up? Let me just turn my volume a little bit. Okay, I am able, Charlie's able to show us something and the incubus and succubus. I'm not sure if he's coming through with us. Charlie, can you give us a little bit of, if you are showing us a flick on the incubus and succubus? I'm not sure. I'm seeing something on screen. Okay, we have something playing, but I'm not sure if this is the flick to explain, this that enters into the female private space and would sexually advantage her, which would be abuse. As we can see in the picture, of course, it's a spirit, so it's a force you're unable to see, but you see the action of the sexual act taking place, and the helplessness of the victim as they lie there and their body is being used for this pleasure. So here we are seen in the background a female being pleasured by this unknown force, I guess at some point in the night while she lay helpless to this action. So as we are watching on, and I know we are live, and I don't want to stay too quiet so people think that we left, but we are still here. We are watching a flick of a young lady being sexually attacked in her sleep. Well, I guess by now she's awake because it's a phenomena, and it's a very real phenomena. And you have the evidence next morning tell that something happened. What I know, a lot of people are unaware of this happening, and some people are aware of the happening, and some people actually enjoy such a happening. So you're able to see. Okay, so this is part of our Sunday evening conversation. For those who would join us later, they would be able to see what we are showing on screen. We are seeing a female being attacked sexually in the night by an unknown spirit. And of course, since it's in the spiritual world, it is invisible to the naked eye. Unless you have spiritual eyes, and you're able to see what is really happening. This is a violent sexual act that is being performed on a female. And as I said, she probably was asleep, but by now she looked up, and this situation is real. This occurrence is real, and most times it is not spoken about. For you, sometimes, as I said, unknown to the victim, sometimes knowingly to the victim. Some men are able to entertain such an entity for their pleasures because, they find some joy in it, I would imagine. So thank you so much, Charlie, for giving us this over 21-year-old adult conversation. I will ask my studio audience to weigh in on this part of the conversation for what you've seen. Who would like to go first? Welcome, everyone. Should I call you Rebecca?
Yes, the question I had was, do you have to be awakened spiritually to experience that, or do anybody can experience that? Because you said she was sleeping and then she woke up, right? Um, Spiritual awakening for me is like a personal and irrespective process. It involves also a shift in radical consciousness and awareness. It's also a break from conventional thinking and the material world. But she's coming from the material, from the physical world. She's sleeping. She's not. She otherwise she wakes up. So how does she know that she had that encounter if somebody doesn't tell her she had that encounter?
Well,
That's
what
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 the question I had.
to answer your question, Mr. Rebecca? Very good question indeed. You asked if she woke up. Now, having experience with this entity, especially within the sexual realm, the sex, for all those who are here, because we're over 18 right now, is very violent and profound. So it's the type of action that will wake you up. When I say she wake up, it wouldn't mean she has spiritual awareness awakening, but she was
Okay.
physically awakened, seeing that the
Okay.
violence of that entity. So you know that something happened. Is what we would term rough sex. You would wake up. So
Hmm.
she went to sleep peacefully, however, but this occurs when you go to sleep without saying your prayers.
Okay.
So find men who do not seal themselves off by saying prayer, this is a leave an opening for such an attack.
Okay, I get you now.
All right. Well, we thank you. Very, very good question. Very good question. So,
Okay.
it's funny. We have a panel. We have had a mail on. I don't know if you dropped off or you'd like to weigh in on this conversation. I think that is very interesting for the mail, you know, just their side of it. So when he comes back on, we'll be happy for him to weigh in. Charlie, are you here to weigh in as well? Would you like to weigh in for the evening? I believe there's a video playing in the back to help us understand what what we just seen. But the video is not coming up clear enough. But for what we've seen, the young lady, we saw the action of her body in motion. So we know that something physical was taking place. But unable to see the physical body of the attacker, but we just saw the violence because we saw her moving up and down and we saw a lot of movement. So we know some kind of sports was going on. When she wakes up, however, she would know, or the victim would know, something happened. But if they're unaware spiritually, they will not know what happened. All they will know something happened, they felt strange, and in most times they are unable to explain it and actually too shame to bring it to the forefront. So they continue to keep it a secret. And it is almost the worst thing you can do because once it's kept a secret, the intelligence of the entity realize they can visit you again because nobody's going to find out. So this would occur sometimes for a period of a year, 4 or 5. the year maybe, or whatever given opportunity the entity feels he can feed on you without being noticed or alarm being raised. And as I said, it's a situation where it makes women somehow feel ashamed because who are you going to tell this to that you lie down and you made love to who? Somebody you did see, you have all the evidence to prove. And the worst part about it is that makes you really so ashamed. The pleasure that it brings is really profound. So you're wondering how embarrassed it could be to tell somebody you have an invisible boyfriend. So you can see why this is also held a secret. Part of it, the shame of having, you know, going on, going on. And then as well, secondly, the fact that you can no longer boyfriend. So we're seeing a lot of things that would be happening unexplained and also being hidden because of fear and shame. So, Miss Theodore, would you like to give us any little stories? Because we have story time today, and we are telling little stories of strange encounters with strange things. So I'm putting you on the spot. Sometimes our friends tell
Yeah,
us things, or we know things for a
I
fact.
wanted
So,
to
yeah,
I
comment.
think it is called. I think it is
welcome.
called. I think it is called. The proper name is the incubus phenomenon, and that's what it is, right? An attack by a male demon. But my point is,
Yes.
seeing that we are living now in such a superficial age of technology, new insights, how do psychiatrists and psychologists who hear such accounts from their patients, how do they look at you? It's a very spooky sleep disorder. Are they referring it to it as it is, or are they giving it some kind of psychological name, like probably a sleep paralysis? Um, but I think incubus phenomenon is deeper than a sleep paralysis. So I'm just a little curious as well to learn about how in clinical psychopathology. Uh, um, I read something about a professor in the Netherlands, and he said that it happened when a person was falling asleep or waking up, and he tried to link it with a sleep paralysis, and he called it some big name. I cannot really pronounce that big name that he called it. Um, but what, how, in such a state of paralysis, how does the brain activate a kind of vigilance to what is taking place that would wake the patient up, right? And help to compound a hallucination of a creature. We don't know the creature. The creature is invisible. It's sitting on top of me, on top of the person, right? These things, I mean, we have to, when the afflicted person comes in contact with their surroundings, some of us, we call it a nightmare. Um, but the experience is real, right? I mean, how do we? Is it a kind of meta analysis, which um, in psychiatry, which still we are going through research on this incubus phenomenon? Because I have heard about, is a lot of people have brought from stories about that incubus phenomenon, and we have stories from the Caribbean, we have stories from the United States, Japan, Italy, Mexico, and the last research, I think, it found out that 1 out of 10 people in 11% of the general population have experienced incubus phenomenon in their lifetimes, right? This means that over 11% of any given population, of any given individual to experience this at least once in their lives. So this thing is real, right? So going back to science, and the odds of encountering an incubus is very high, especially now with all the satanic rituals going around. Now, among people with psychiatric disorders, such as refugees who mass exodus of people, the odds of experiencing incubus phenomenon is 41%, I think, according to research, if I'm not mistaken. And people were saying that if you sleep on your back, you are more likely to experience that phenomenon. I don't know how true. Also, alcohol consumption and irregular sleeping patterns, they make incubus visits more probably. I don't know how true. Now, the frightening experience that I think is really is dismissed as just a bad dream. If you would ask your parents, you tell your parents, because as you said earlier, people are even afraid to talk about it for fear that they will be labeled as being mad. And if you ask a friend or your mother, they'll tell you, hey, you were just having a bad dream. And I think I'm not a psychiatrist, but it creates a kind of disturbance in the patient's life because the person is going to start experiencing an anxiety, um, difficulty sleeping. I would say from fear of being delusional, and they could even say that you're suffering from schizophrenia, a mental disorder. And what I would like to get more in the scientific realm is a possible link between the incubus phenomenon and the situation as well in which a healthy person dies in their sleep, because it could create death, right? That's whatever is attacking her could suffocate her, it could stifle her. So when you hear people die in their sleep, right, could it that be a cause of that as well? I mean, these are questions we have to look into and ask, because once one phenomenon leads to another one, right? And people who have experienced this, they experience a high level an anxiety in their early in their lifestyle. You know, it's easy, I was told, for you to spot people, but not with the naked eye. People like you, Sadie, who has visionary qualities, you'll be able to say, hey, a spirit must be living in that person. You know, why is that person being so overly anxious? Um,
Well, one thing I want to join with you because I'm dying to tell you this before you carry on, and I don't want to miss this point. What happens though, however, like you say, consider like dying in your sleep. The difference with this entity really attacks the pleasure principle. So the fact that
okay,
it's so disgusting to let someone know that this has happened to you, there's a pleasure principle within this whole act. So this does not really make you feel like, oh my God, he's trying to kill me. It
okay,
makes you like, oh my God, I want to marry this guy. This is
yeah,
the this is the bad thing about it. So it brings on a shame to you because you are trying to identify how come I'm feeling so good with what is happening here and it is so wrong. This is the really confusing part about it. So imagine if you are not spiritually aware, you will now entertain this because of the pleasure principle.
yeah. And another question to another research I had is, when we look at the cultural background, right? With this incubus figure, how people react to it can be based on their cultural backgrounds as well. Because people, let's take for instance Muslims, right? A Muslim would tell you that they see the incubus phenomenon as a proof that they are being haunted by a jinn, which is a kind
Yeah.
of
A
an
demon.
invisible spirit created by Allah out of smokeless fire, right? Smokeless fire, something created by Allah. And as you said earlier, the incubus can take on a very friendly and entertaining form. I was coming to that, but you just cut across me earlier,
I'm
right?
sorry.
It's the pleasure principle. And there was a research where a 15-year-old girl, she experienced the incubus phenomenon and she actually liked it, right? She was thrilled, right? More than scared, right? So again, it's like how it's always being approached, different cultures. But I believe it's real. But my point is, I think we have to get more scientific research on the study and do not be branded by scientists and psychologists and psychotherapists as just a sleep disorder, right? There is much more to that. A lot happens in the spiritual world. You know that as I do, right? A visionary like you know how the doors to the spiritual world, what they present. And I think that we should be able to look into it, with greater in depth, and don't just look at it as just a dream, and when the Caribbean they say, you have sex with a ghost, right? Um, I was reading an article in Newsweek about, and I cross checked this article so many times, where a guidance counselor in England, he said sex with ghosts is much better than sex with humans. Yeah. And she said that she had made love with them more than 200 times in her life. And she would not even want to go back to having physical sex. And she said that on a British television show. I think it was ITV this morning, and everybody was like stunned when she said that. She said her first spiritual encounter was just about a couple of years ago, and her then fiance had moved into the home. Oh boy, I have to.
Well, we are here this evening, our Sunday evening, and what we are seeing on screen, and for our audience who are there with us, we are examining the action of incubus, which is a sexual demon that comes to women to pleasure them in the night. I would think mostly nighttime. I don't know if it's probably in the day as well, but mostly nighttime when they sleep. This is a case where some women are unaware of the circumstance, some women are aware, and some women come to enjoy it, whereby they find ways of actually entertaining this spirit. And as I mentioned in our last conversation, some people actually get married to this situation because of the pleasure principle. As my last guest was saying, she dropped off for a minute, but she'll be right back on. She was saying about incident she heard that was spoken about on British TV, where a woman said she had multiple occasions with this invisible guy, and now she's even unable to go back to, let's say, dating regular men. So as we are seeing in our picture, and when you see it in the focus, you see the violent action of the woman. But most, as I just said, one woman reported it to be quite pleasurable, one that she would prefer more than the natural. So here we are this evening. And Charlie, would you like to weigh in on this subject as well?
Yeah, I think that when I did my looking up and doing my little research, I also found out about paralysis. Uh, but I think that that's totally something different, because if you look at the example that we have on the screen, surely this young lady isn't paralyzed. She's moving and she has functions. Now, she may not be in full control of them, but I think another thing to notice in this particular video, those engagements, when you see parts of her garments being moved and adjusted without anyone touching them.
Yes.
Like right here, you see the skirt is coming up and you see the underwear being pulled down. There are no hands. There's no nothing there doing that, but whatever energy that is in the room. And that energy continues to process and move forward and put her in a position. And so until she realizes what's going on. And then at which time, I don't know, I don't necessarily, my interpretation isn't necessarily pleasure, but it looks like she's trying to resist whatever this energy is that is engaging her beyond her control. So there are those, of course, there are stories where the female entity has said that they were aware of it, just as our former guest has just said, our previous guest have just said. Not only were they aware of it, they invited it. And I have had personal testimonies where one has said it was the purest sex that they've had. They told me it didn't feel dirty. It didn't feel lustful. It didn't feel horny. It didn't feel like any of those things. What they told me, it was a clean, fresh expression of love that they had not experienced before when it came to sex. But they could not deny that it happened, and it happened in the middle of the night, and it happened with some invisible entity that just showed up. So just that's just what I wanted to add, and I wanted to bring attention to the fact of those parts of this video that we see where the individual, the victim, uh, garments are being adjusted without any participation of anything else that we see on the screen besides some energy.
Yes, that's clear to see. And so we know there's nothing, there's no sleep going on. In fact, the individual actually gets up to partake in this session, whether knowingly or unknowingly, because as you can see, there's movement or rather removal of clothing. So this is a real situation. It's a situation that some women are actually pleasured and is in awe by such, and would await or rather set their room whereby this entity could be very well entertained, and it would now become their partner. They look forward to such an occasion, and this would become their partner. So this is for the incubus and the effect it has on the female. Now, I don't know why I'm feeling so provocative, but I wonder if they go to the transgenders. I don't think, because it's just two. We just have male and female God created. So I wonder when the incubus meet these transgenders, what do they do? That is probably a different show for a different day, because I've never heard of such an encounter where where a person of a transgender, or rather changed their sex in a formal way, and incubus was confused. So
Well,
imagine if
let
we
me
go
add,
into the spirit realm.
let me add to that, because I saw videos where there was men and women in the bed, but it was the man that was attacked, as if the entity or the spirit had homosexual tendencies, because they
Whoa.
treated the man as if it was the woman when there was a woman laying in the bed right next to the man. I've seen those videos also.
Well, very interesting, because I was wondering about that, because I've never seen that, or nobody have ever explained that, because as I said, no, these are the hidden undercover topics. So that is very interesting to know why that choice was made. So interesting, interesting. But what I could add to that, in the spiritual realm, however, there are entities that are bisexual. And I would call it out. Please get your books and your pen. There's an entity that named Mr. Gap. Like the Gap stores. Yeah, I didn't make it up the story. And we don't tell lies in the side of town. It's an entity called Mr. Gap. He is, in fact, a homosexual entity. So, and this is known in the demonology world. So it's not a strange thing that the Gap store, has clothes, and a lot of homosexuals visit there, because the clothes can fit male and female, same speed, same time. But there is, in fact, for your learning experience, an entity called Mr. Gap, and he is, in fact, homosexual. So very good observation, Charlie. It just strike me that I have been places before and have heard such a thing. So don't judge me. That was very good observation. So our panel is pulling up. Our topic for this evening is, and anyone else like to join us concerning this subject matter? Our first vice is still on with us.
Yes, I am here.
Have you seen the
I
video? Would you like to partake in this conversation? We would like to hear your
Yes,
views,
yes, I
please.
did. Yeah, I did see what you call them, octopus, or these things
Incubus.
have been
I
around long
N
time. Incubus. Oh,
Incubus.
incubus. Okay. I don't matter what they call them, but these things have been around long time doing all these things. But it just come to the forefront, you know. Even
Well,
I and
maybe
I
they're
have been
called.
having.
That could be a possibility, you know,
Yes, because I've been
of,
having all these dreams
of
long before these things come up. They don't only attack women; they
no,
attack men too.
share
You
with us.
understand
We'd
what I'm
like you to share with us, please.
Yes, I have several dreams of women attacking me to have sex with me. Even have sex with some of them too. In the vision. Yeah, but I know that they are spirits. You know, I know. Yeah. But if this never came up, maybe I wouldn't really, come out and speak it like that. To let ones know that this thing has been going on for years too. You know? Yes. But the real cause of it is unknown to us, but I know these spirits been going around and seducing up a lot of men also, you know.
And
So
I just want to, can anybody hear me? Because I had a call and I got cut off. Can you hear me?
yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Yes,
You were
welcome
saying
back.
that you don't know where. Yeah, I was saying I had a call and I got cut off. And the last person who was talking was saying that he doesn't know where it came from. But I think the earliest account of demon sex appears in Jewish and Christian traditions. And it's also in the book of Genesis, Sister Sadie. It details the origins of the world, the early history of humanity. Genesis says it very, very clear that prior to the flood of Noah, fallen angels mated with women to produce a race of giants.
Yes,
Is that correct, Sister Sadie? Sister Sadie, isn't that correct?
yes.
Yeah.
The sons of God, uh, fell in love with the daughters of man, and this started the first, what we should say, a natural sex because it was a case of human having sex with spiritual entities.
Yeah, and there is a book
So
called the
that would
Book
have
of
been the
Watchers.
first.
Is the first encounter in the book of Genesis. And there is also a book called the Book of the Watchers. I read
The
it. It's
watchers.
the book of the Watchers. Watchers,
Oh,
like it's a watching the book of the Watchers. It's an apocalyptic vision written in the name of a mysterious character named Enoch, which was also mentioned in Genesis, and he expanded on the tale. You know, as a writer, writers go into this long expansion of what. So he took the book of Genesis, he expanded on the tale, and he called the book of the Watchers. And in this version, the angels or the Watchers, as he called, they not only had sex with women and they birthed giants, but they also taught humans magic, the acts of luxury and knowledge of astrology as well. And that's where we come into the realm of astrology, because this knowledge is also commonly associated with the ancient world, with the advancement of human civilization as well. Now, the Book of Watchers, I think anybody, if we could Google it and find out more about it, because I read it. And as I said, it's a tale written by this writer, and he just expanded his imagination across the chapters. And the fallen angels, they are a source of human civilization. And it's a long narrative. And he started it from all the way. He didn't start in the book of Genesis. He started with the Middle Ages, and where in the Middle Ages, as we know, it was a difficult time to be alive. If we think our age is bad, we haven't met the Middle Ages, because people sacrifice babies to gods, right? The Middle Ages was a destructive time to be around. And blood sacrifice, all of these philosophers in England, they were all atheists and they all belonged to cults, right? So all of that was existing already, right? So that's nothing new, right? He's just telling us, hey, when you say incubus phenomenon, people think it's a big thing that just happened. This thing is as old as time. starting from Genesis, going into medieval ages, going into the Middle Ages. It's just that now it's conflicting in our technological age because of AI and all our new psychiatrists living university trying to brand it under a new name, as the doctor said a while ago, sleep paralysis, sleep apnea. They're trying to find names, but this is nothing new, right? Now, um, I think also in the book of Jude, right? Because I remember that writer specifically mentioned the book of Jude, and he attacked he talked about perceived attack on people in the book of Jude in the Bible with demonic possession, sorry, demonic knowledge, and what they would have used their demonic knowledge to do. And Christian, St. Paul, right? He spoke about it. Right, right. I mean, these things we have the historical background to back it up. We have the scientific background to back it up. And the demonic arts, Paul used them, right? He talk about it. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, against principalities, against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? So we have it all here. So when you say like you don't know where it came from, I just want to tell you that, you know, this fascination with demons and sex, and it has been around for a while, from medieval ages or modern time, and philosophy itself, Immanuel Kant, and he spoke about that. The pleasure principle, you spoke about it. All of that is philosophical, and that all of these things were happening in medieval England, right? We have with all these philosophers springing up. You're right. It was the
Yeah.
age of the Industrial Revolution, right? And all these guys were atheists. They all had occult. That's where the occult really began, Freemasonry, right? So it's something that's worth talking about, right? But there is so many tenets to it that we have to look at it upside down, inside out, turn it around. And it's a very interesting topic, Sister Sadie. And there's a lot to be learned from it, right?
Definitely. But as we're going along, and I'll bring you right back because things are flowing so fast. As we speak of the incubus and the succubus, there's a special place and time within the teachings of Christ that Christ Himself, the Christ, and this is teachings of when we think of the 18 absent years of Christ, very interesting things happen. And a certain teachings, we'll bring it next week. Christ met a woman who tried to throw him on his back, let's say. She
Of
wanted to have
course.
sex.
Yeah.
I hope we there we follow it. We're on the page. So we are seeing even the Christ had encountered this was not a regular woman, but a sexual entity because to break him to see if she can penetrate him. Because most times these entities
Very
they
true.
have a 99.9% report, they don't miss. Some of us get away, but they don't miss. But as we are giving story, I did give a story last week. I'm gonna bring you right back on Miss Rebecca. But the incubus, a lot of people were unable to give a description of such, but I can surely give a description, and I'm just speaking this only just once. Get your pens and books out. I had the formal pleasure of meeting this entity, and this entity is in the shape of a sort of cloud formation with a tail. It's a kind of big blob with a tail at the end. What has happened? Um, since the story, I don't want to my listening audience to be so confused that where did she find this thing? He, our house, brought this um here. So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I got up and I saw it float right through the house and hovered over my bed. But I wasn't able to sleep that night, so I got up to roll myself a J. So I was not able to have to fight with it. I was sitting at the end of the bed when I saw it hovering over the bed. And I was able to see it because who have eyes to see can see. But we move on from there and first take it on the other side. But all the same, it is real. I have had the unfortunate encounter. I did not succumb to the activity because I had the wisdom of knowing what it is eventually. So for those who are, let's say, innocent because they don't have the knowledge of such, are often taken advantage of several times within their lifetime because this entity rarely misses. But what I could say, however, prayer wards off this entity. I believe it's Psalm 4, you can say, but there's a certain Psalm. I want to teach it right. I believe it's Psalm 4. But you must seal yourself off because it's kind of open reign with this entity. So, in order to protect yourself, prayer is a seal that you use, and I believe certain psalms as well, and of course, sincere prayer. But this is real, and for women who sleep alone, I was once told you can get a dog because the dog will raise an alarm if this entity comes into being because a dog is sensitive to this particular entity. I was told this by my sages. So here we are, Miss Rebecca. I'm putting you back on with your inquiring mind.
Yeah, I'm going back to the age of the Enlightenment as well,
Yeah,
where Christians became deeply European Christians, that is, not our Christians in our Caribbean or United States, the Europeans. They were embroiled in debates about miracles and also how you could cast out demons, etc. And that is how we also got Pentecostalism, right? Global Christianity brought forth. You seen Pentecostalism where people fall down on the floor. When the women fall, they take a towel, they cover their frontal parts. I mean, this is a deep subject because Pentecostalism, even today in our modern churches, when the woman gets herself into that, the first thing they cover with her is her frontal part with a towel, with a blanket, right? Because the demon could come in from even in the church, right? And how the Holy Spirit can make new signs, manifestation, miraculous healing, ecstatic speech. You ever hear people speaking in tongues? All of these are phenomenons that
we all
are.
break it up.
I'm breaking up.
It's a
All
little
of
bit. I
these,
don't know if it's your location. Sometimes I get to break up too,
I
but I'm
don't
here.
know. Can you hear me better?
Maybe a little shift to the left, a little shift to the right, maybe.
Let me see if I can go a little
Okay.
closer. I
Yes,
have
loud and
a,
clear. Go ahead, my dear.
I have a baby. I don't want to go too close. Can you
I
hear me
know.
better
But
now?
okay, but we getting you.
Okay. So I going back to, as I said, in Pentecostalism, and
Yes, of course.
Christians have also claimed to have knowledge and skills to deliver humans from the bonds of demonic possessions. You ever hear Pentecostal pastors tell you they come with oil to anoint you to take away demonic possession from you, which is caused, and they build it. I understand one pastor said that demon is lodged in the DNA, right, of that person. And spiritual warfare now is a battle against a dangerous set of demonic foes that attack both the body and the soul. So, as I said, you brought a very interesting topic here this evening, right? And I think we have to look at it for what it is and, explore it further.
Definitely. Charlie, would you like to weigh in on the Pentecostalism?
Yeah, that caught my ear. because I grew up in the Pentecostal church
Definitely. He's done your ad.
for 40 some odd straight years. I grew up in the Pentecostal church in the holiness movement. And what we had terms like the Holy Ghost, the Spirit. There were those times when the sisters would fall out. We would cover them. In our church wasn't necessarily so that we cover any orifice, but that the individual would not be exposed because of whatever was happening during their Holy Ghost experience.
Mm-hmm.
So these are, and again, I said on last week, there would be testimonies from various women over different periods of time that would testify and pray to ask the church for deliverance and for protection because during the middle of the night they were visited by entities that attempted to have sexual contact with them on more than one occasion. So we understood that to be a real thing. Plus, coming out of a Pentecostal and deliverance church in the 60s and 70s, we saw on many occasions where there were what we considered to be demonic people that were demonically possessed with demons or possessed with spirits that needed to be cast out, that the pastor would cast them out and they would pray for them or lay hands on them or anoint them with oil. Or we used to have a prayer tent. We would take them to the prayer tent. So all of these entities, all of these stories are very familiar with me. Also, I think about the fact that we're taught that our ancestors are around and that they are that great cloud of witnesses that have gone on before that are there to encourage us and to move us along. I would imagine that some of those witnesses are still witnessing things that were appeasing to them when they were in their human form and seek their pleasure from which they remember of being in a molecular structure as opposed to just being in their spirit bodies. So all of these things are to me are extremely relevant and need to be considered when we're talking about these different things because I know that we believe that if we cannot see it, then it's not real. We have determined that anything that we cannot pick up within our six senses, okay, then it's not real, especially if we can't see it. The fact of the matter is that our human body is inadequate and it is incapable of seeing anything that's moving faster than 60 frames a second. So anything moving faster than 60 frames a second, we can't see it, we can't perceive it. So in our mind, it is not real. You spoke of the dog and you spoke of the animals. Well, the dog barks because the dog see, because the dog is equipped to see frames quicker than 60 frames a second. So those things that we believe is not real, other animals and entities can see them because their molecular structure is different from ours. They can pick up more frames. And so what we call spirit is all the same thing to them. You follow me? And so you're right. If they had the dog there, the dog could bark or the dog could notify them because the dog see what's going on all of the time. I never forget. I was in my home I had one time in Plainfield, New Jersey. I'm sitting on my bed, and simultaneously, there's no one there but me and the dog, and we're both sitting down looking at television, and we hear a noise. Simultaneously, together, we both turn our head in the direction of the noise. I get up to go see what it is because I'm having my white person experience. I need to know what it is, right? Instead of just leaving it alone. The dog went to the threshold of the door and stopped. The dog was like, my man, you on your own. You go ahead. You let me know what you see. Holler at
Like
me when you come back. All right. But the reality of it is that there's a whole spirit world. I believe I'm of the opinion, and there may be those that would disagree with me. I'm sure that there is. I'm of the opinion that there's a whole spirit world and everything that's happening around us, all around us, even as we speak every day that we are not aware of that's going on. That's a part of fourth dimensional existence. And we're seeing more and more and more of that now as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, as we're moving into the age of enlightenment, as we're moving into the age of information. We're getting more and more of these information. Plus, we've been prepared from the 60s and 70s, the shows, and those that know the secrets, they drop little hints, they drop little secrets coming along. So when this stuff is finally revealed, we don't have a nervous breakdown. Okay, if in fact we saw things 20 years ago that we see today that we identify as aliens, spirits, ghosts. I mean, we got aliens walking through the mall in Miami now these days. Okay. So if we just saw that 20, 25 years ago, it would have been extremely traumatic on our neural system. And we would not be able to handle such information. Now, I know that may sound corny, but when we see things for the first time, we have a physical and neurological, a nervous reaction to those things. Like when we see blood, okay? As an example, I don't want to ramble, but as an example, when my first child was born, my wife had a C-section. I was in the delivery room, okay? And they let me watch the operation. The doctor says to me, before they started, are you going to be okay? I mean, I'm all right. What you talking about? I'm going to be okay. It ain't nothing to me. Right? He said, all right, I hear
Charlie, you drop off for a while?
I dropped off. Okay.
Did the aliens stay, Charlie?
So, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I could hear you.
Okay. So I don't know. I was talking about the pregnancy. I don't know if you heard that part or not. By me being in the delivery room, the doctor actually was like going to be okay. I said yes.
I don't want to talk and double talk. I'm waiting with Charlie to talk. I don't hope his eye dropped off and he's talking.
Yeah.
Rebecca, can you hear him?
I could hear him very well.
All right. So anyway, the first side of seeing the doctor cut my wife and her stomach split open, and I can see her internal organs as they moved them around and dug through them looking for this baby. I must admit, seeing that for the first time made me woozy. It made me dizzy, and it took a moment for me to catch myself and bring myself back to this reality so that I would not faint. So what I'm saying is these are all traumatic experiences that happen based off of our neurological mindset. And if we are in the right place, we can see and understand the spirits and those things that are moving around us of a natural order, and it's not really that crazy. I hope you heard most of that. And then one day I'll tell you about what happened when I died. Back to you, Empress.
Hello, anybody there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know where our host is. Maybe she's got a bad connection and she dropped out.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can hear you, but I cannot hear her.
yeah, hopefully she can come back in. But anyway, just to keep the conversation going while we're waiting on her, I think that it's becoming clearer and clearer every day that these are true phenomenons.
Yes, that's true. And
That these
what I think as well is that sex, Sister Sadie has always said that to me, that sex is an energy. Sex attracts spirits. And it should be fairly intuitive. I mean, from what she has said to me over the years, that sex is designed to bring a spirit into a body. It goes without saying that many spirits are attracted to sex, right? And not always for the purpose of incarnation. Now, spirit flocks to sex and sexual acts because Sister Sadie has always taught me that they are doorways to physical expression and to the material world as well. Now, these spirits can be, as you said earlier, Doctor, many things. It could be souls of the deceased ancestors. Most of these souls, they are seeking incarnation, right? It could be hungry
right,
ghosts. It could be
right,
human souls trapped between dimensions.
right,
They have unfulfilled desires from their human lives,
right,
and they create attachments to human hosts to fulfill these earthly desires. And as well, they could be demons. But everything that happens, we just say they are demons. But I'm happy that you broke that down that they could be ancestors as well, because the demons, they belong to the lower world entities. Sister Sadie taught me that these spirits, they operate very similar to hungry ghosts, only with they have destructive desires. So probably the person who was that entity who was having sex with that girl in the picture we just saw, it doesn't have to be a demon. It didn't
hmm,
have to be a demon. It could be a soul of a deceased ancestor. It could
right,
be a hungry
right,
goat. It
right.
could be a natural spirit, a spirit
Absolutely.
from the Divic kingdom. Like we have
Right,
spirits like plant, trees, flowers,
right,
elementals,
right.
mythical beings, nature
Listen,
spirits. They are drawn to be playful
and
as well.
no one that has ever told me about these spirits of these incubus spirits have never told me the story in a negative way.
That's what it is because it's a pleasure principle. They could be deities and celestials, beings of the higher worlds. They can
Right,
be invoked as well.
right,
Um, they can be a deity enters a sacred union, often making a contact before love making. You could get pregnant as well because I've heard of ghosts. How did the Virgin birth? Who had sex with the Virgin? Mary. Doctor. I mean, we are going into deeper fields here because here it was a virgin was conceived, right? And she bore a
right.
son, and they called his name Jesus, right? We don't
Mhm.
know who conceived her. It could have been a deity from a celestial realm. We don't, I mean, these are deep grounds we are entering here right now. So we have to know the quality of the spirit and before we can engage the world of demons into it and find out more because there's a lot because as I said, sex is a doorway to the spirit, just as much as it is a portal to the physical world as well. And
Into the spiritual world. I
yeah,
tell people that sex. So there's a difference between you can have sex and then you can have intercourse, and then
hmm
there's a process of traveling, and in that process, in that travel of experiences, you reach what we have determined to be the climax, which would indicate that it is the highest experience that you can have here on the third dimension. And so anything above that, we have now entered into another zone. We're now entered into another dimension that's beyond the third dimension, because the third dimension experience, pleasure experience, stops at what we have determined to be that climax. And I think that it's ingenious of source, of God, of Jah, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, however way you identify source or the creator, that the process of reproduction and multiplying and keeping the earth filled comes through a pleasurable act.
You see me?
Yeah, we see you. We see you moving around. We just try to enjoy your company before they come get you again. That's that's what we're trying to do.
They-
Before they come get you again. But yeah, so all of these things are interrelated. But the reality of it is we know
I think
very
little
little
cute.
about it. We know very little about them because we've been taught to stay away from it. It's been identified as spooky. It's been identified as this, that, or the other. When the reality of it is, it could simply be just spirit and science moving in the same direction, doing the same very
Very
simple
true. Very
explanation.
true.
I'm
But you
hearing
know
it.
what
I'm
happens
hearing
to
him
us?
speaking, but are you all waiting on me? I don't want to double talk. And then I look back at the video and see I'm talking
You
over
cannot get
people.
anything. Can you hear me, Sister Sadie?
Can you all hear me?
I can hear you, but can you hear
Yes, we
me?
can we can hear you. Can you hear us? That's a no. So we can hear you, we can see you, but you can't hear us.
I can hear you, I can see you, but you cannot hear me. I can hear you, I can see you, but you cannot hear me, which I don't know what is happening to you. They have come for you again, as Doctor said.
They got her as she's Alice in Wonderland
Yeah.
again. Come on back, Alice. But anyway, this incubus thing, this succubus thing, as you said, is not a new phenomenon. It's not something that is just coming about. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that has been with us from the
For the
beginning of
ages,
time.
from Genesis, from the beginning of time.
Right, right.
And,
We
and every culture looks at it from a different perspective because
right,
everything is culture.
correct.
So going back to what I was saying, we don't know who was having sex with that person in the video. It could
Right,
be, yeah, like glad you mentioned the ancestral origin. Could be a divine deity. We don't know, right? We just
right,
brand it. Everything that bad that happens
right.
to us. You know what? Another thing I found out, especially in the black culture, any apparition or anything that happens to us, we never look at it in a light that is good. We always think it's bad,
Why?
right? And sometimes it's a good thing, but
Mm-hmm.
we were just trained to believe it's something bad.
Right,
Like even when you mentioned when you were looking at the TV with your dog, the dog sends something. Automatically, we just feel, well, it's a bad spirit that comes here. It could be
right.
a visiting ancestor. It could
Absolutely.
be, it could be anything that is
Mhm.
good. But in our minds, we just brand it as being bad. And I have woken up to that realization that that's why I got myself. Everybody thinks I'm a very brave person. I have no fear because when anything, I go to investigate it to find out if it's good or if it's bad. And many people said, but Rebecca, you could get killed. You could get that thing could slash you in your face. I said, no, but at least I have an idea what it was because fear, I have never allowed fear to overtake me when I encounter these things, right? I
Correct.
go like
And
at 2 o'clock.
now you have a real testimony. So it's
Yes,
not just theory. It's no longer theory. It's no longer something we've read in the book and read reference on and listened
yeah,
to other people have talked. We now
yeah.
have our own personal experience
Yeah,
that we can say
experience is a
is
great
that
master. I
it's a
was
great
saying to
master.
I was saying to Sister Sadie, I just came from Dominica last month, It's I'm living up in the right up in the rainforest. I'm hearing at 2 o'clock in the morning a strange sound under my window, right? So I am like, whoa. I opened the door and I went out to find out what is making that noise. And the people I'm living with in the house is like, are you out of your mind? I said, because that noise is not going away. And if it was a bad, I mean, if it was somebody who came to frighten me, they would just make that one noise and disappear, right? But it's
Right.
continuous. It's continuous. And when I
Continuous.
went to look at it, I just found out now is the pipe system burst and it's making that noise, right? But automatically, if I said that to somebody in the house, who would say it's a spirit, it's a
Right.
bad omen, right?
Right.
So when you go to the conclusion and you find out what happened, I mean, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, to be out there to have a flashlight going to find out what's happening. That's sane to be in the mountains and going there. Could be anything. Could be a wild animal, But
Could be
but I want to find out. I want to clear my imagination so I can go back to sleep, right?
anything.
And I think when those things happen when those episodes happen in our lives, we should try to abolish fear and to look at it from a different perspective and look at it as a good. And instead of just branding it as a demon or as a bad thing, a bad omen, because it's a world of good and bad. It's a balance, evil and good, right?
Right. And
So
then you have those
everything cannot
spirits
be
that are
evil.
stuck, like you said, stuck in between. So, case in
Yeah.
point, in my building, the lady that lived across the hall from me was an elderly lady. She had an incident, and they removed her and put her in the hospital. Um, and that's a whole nother story because I think the hospital did her more harm than good. But the reality of it is, after she wound up passing, and after she passed, the apartment was still vacant for a nice little while. And after about, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 months after she passed, I would wake up in the mornings to this loud banging on the door. This pow, 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 pow. And I'd be like, what the heck is going on in the hallway this time of morning? So I get up, I go to my door, I open my door, and there's nothing. There's nothing in the hallway. There's nobody in the hallway. Okay. And I can see that somebody was banging on that door with some type of object because I can see indentations
Wow.
in the door. So this happened this happened about 5 or 6 times. I would go, it got so bad that I would listen to the banging and I would creep up to my door and try to easily unlock my door quietly, right? And then snatch my door open so I can catch whoever this is banging. And I would do that. And the moment I opened my door, the banging would stop and there'd be nobody in the hall. It was so real. I got pictures of the door. I still got pictures of the door
Wow. I
that I
believe
took
you.
because no one will believe me. So there's nothing to be afraid of. You may find bad spirits just
So
like you
it
find
was
bad
not your
people.
friendly ghost?
No, that was Miss Rogers trying to get back in the house. I done told her she don't let it no more. She need to just go on over to the other side and leave that house alone. She ain't there no more. Plus, I got her chairs now. So you can go back to
It's
wherever
coming for her cheers.
she must be coming for her chairs.
Yeah.
But there are all type of spirits. So I think that if you run into an evil spirit, that's because that person was evil in life. Or it could be
Yeah.
that they're frustrated because they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand how they caught in between dimensions. They don't understand why I'm in your face. I'm hollering at you. I'm trying to talk to you and you're ignoring me. No one can see me. No one can hear me. And I can see everything. So I become frustrated and they begin to do things to get attention. And as that energy gets stronger and stronger, right, they're able to transition or trans back into a third dimensional physical reality,
Okay.
all apart. So now they could open the door, they can knock a glass off the table, they can do different things based
Mm-hmm.
on that strong energy that they've been able to accumulate it back here on the third
That's
dimension.
true. That's very true. I believe that too. Mm-hmm. Anybody here, Sadie? I have
Can
to
you
leave.
all see me?
I can
Yes,
see
we
you,
can see you, hear you. Can you hear us?
but I have to go put somebody to bed. So I don't know if you
Oh,
could have my
yes,
absence.
because I just moved because I know of my yes. I I know he was not seeing his friendly ghost Casper, but I kind of dropped out and didn't get the rest of the story. So I don't want to overtalk.
No, you have the
Can I
floor.
speak?
Yes, please. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I was
Oh,
asking Sadie whether I can be excused for a little while. I have somebody who needs my attention.
no problem, my darling. It was wonderful of
Okay.
you coming on. So it
Okay.
was
I
good
might
of you
come back.
coming.
I'm staying on. I might come back. Let me just check what is happening. Okay.
Not a problem. But I'm glad you all can hear me. I don't know what's happening with my sometimes you can see me, you can hear me not. I am moving around a little bit, so I think it's a better location. I'm kind of in the hall. But it's so interesting for us to weigh in on the spiritual matters that are not touched oftenly, but are happening. And when once we talk about it, we know how much more but it's often something that's sometimes hidden because of the fear of one being labeled, I would say, an Indian situation. But it's real, it's happening. It happened with adults, it happened with the young people. But the fact about we examine the ancestral part, that's another thing in question that we could talk about because as I heard about such, there's a certain part I want to talk about, which is also true, and we would examine the fact that people we used to know. You see, the people from our past, our ex lovers, boyfriends, or girlfriends, they are often attached to us spiritually as well and can visit us in our dreams sometimes when they have crossed over to the other side and they will make known to us who they are. This is a real case or situation that happened with a young lady I know of an encounter she had with a man she once dated 20 years ago and he passed. They were young people in their 20s and he left the earth early. She's a woman now in about 50-year-old and he visited her and this act went down. And she told me about it and it was almost consensual because of the pleasure it brought and the familiarity of the spirit or the entity that came into her room. So, oftentimes, if we understand familiar spirits and the comfort that it brings, we can see a doorway for this sort of action as well. So, as I said, consciously or unconsciously, this is done, this occurs, and we wonder about it as to, how real it is. But once we start sharing and we realize other people are having the same experience, we know this is something real. There was a guest that came on as well, a male, and he spoke of the fact that he have had several encounters, sexual encounters, and he said sometimes he felt it brings on as well. I'm hoping moving around, hoping to get a really good reception. For my phone keeps dancing in and out. I really wanna share with each other what's happening. I don't know if you can hear me better from outside. I'm in a little situation where I'm getting a bad signal, but I just want to be here with you all this evening and for my guests to enjoy us as we keep moving from page to page, stage to stage. Uh, did not see anyone else in our panel. I know we wanted to slip into a certain subject and topic where we had the video for Alice in Wonderland, but we have ongoing conversations. If we don't do it tonight, Charlie, dear, I know you're all prepared, but you see, we kind of move with the flow and it's a continuing conversation, so we could always touch it again the next conversation. Normally, we have our guests with us, our artists, but they didn't come through this evening. But we have guests that we appreciate and we enjoy and that are here with us. And it's a very interesting topic. And as I was saying, in your absence, Becky, there's also a case where ex lovers, boyfriends, or husbands, because love is a very powerful
Yeah, it
force.
is. Oh yeah.
They they can come. I can tell you a case of a young lady. She had a boyfriend in her 20s. And recently, when she became spiritual, about 2 years ago, he visited her and had that encounter. And she told me it was quite pleasurable. But she said the reason why she sort of allowed it, it was a familiar person and it was a man she really loved when they were 21 years old. And she did not know of the case of the incubus and she didn't know all those things. She was just explaining to me she had a very pleasurable night with her ex-boyfriend. And I said, where is he? She said he passed. I said, well, let me explain to you what really happened. But we are seeing it could occur with familiar people, people from our past. And we would not mention it because let's say we love our husband so much and he passed, but he comes back in the night to service us. Who are we going to tell that story to? No one. We are
Mhm.
going to just be thankful to God that He has made us feel so good in the night. So this is a true case too, because a woman, actually two women has told me about this. One woman even told me her husband passed and he came back and she slept with him once. And she said one day she was in Manhattan and she saw him and she realized she cannot continue with this because then she would not, she'd be confused with her own self because she was having pleasure with him because she missed him so much. But one day she said she was walking through Manhattan and she saw him. And she was really afraid because she said to him, R.I.P. Because she's aware he's passed, but yet she was having the pleasure of the night. And she told me she had to break it down and tell me she got to put a stop into it. So picture this. There are some women who are having these private sessions, but as I said, the pleasure principle is what really brings us into questioning. Because how could I enjoy something so much yet it is so wrong? Because really, it's not something that is right or I would recommend because you're in different worlds. You see, but what do we do when we talk about love? Love sometimes transpire over barriers because love is that force that binds. So we would have sometimes loved ones that pass that we have not let go. We have to be able to let go of our loved ones too, so that they could RIP. And some, well, not some, but two women told me that they simply entertained their husband and they were aware that he was dead. But they said the pleasure in which they were unable to say no almost because why? They thought it was the best thing for them. So we are here this evening. It's Sadie Gomez of Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, and we are coming to you live and alive. Despite the fact sometimes we have small technical problems, but we always try to get everyone in and to welcome you. And this lovely Sunday evening from Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, but all tying up my tongue, Local 26. We come to you every Sunday evening. We bring very interesting topics, and we are here with you discussing the topic of incubus and succubus, and of course, sexual energies and sexual abuse. Since we have established that sex, a very powerful energy, could take place sometimes unknown to us and sometimes in even our sleep state. But what I want to remark here
to all my wonderful guests who is listening and to learn something this evening. Although it seems so dreary, oh my gosh, about the sexual energies, I would like to clear your minds that there are some entities that do not enjoy sex or do not pursue sex. So, this is something that you would learn. So, there are sexual energies, but not all entities from the spiritual realm are those that pursue sex. So, we could be comforted a little bit to know we can have a few control nights because it's only certain ones we have to really, really be aware of. And I must say, we have to find ways of alleviating the problem and shielding ourselves. Prayer is an excellent form of shielding ourselves when we lay down. And of course, I was told one time it would be nice to have a dog, particularly because they are able to see things the way we see it. So I hope everyone is coming on live and strong and can hear me. And here we are Sunday evening, and we are here with the vibration. Charlie, is it our time that we know we're going to stop a certain time for we're going to get our shorts in? So we're going to run until what, another 5 minutes? I, my engineer going to give me some time because what we're
We
going to
have
do, we're going to,
we have 10 minutes
we have
right
10
now
minutes?
before
Oh,
we have to.
okay. Or we can do five because, we're short this evening, and I can save up the rest of the big conversation. And the panel is much longer, so we can knock up in five, or we have to do 10.
Whenever you're ready, we can knock off now.
Okay, well, let's knock off now. So I want to say we had a wonderful evening. We shorten our program so we can enjoy the shorts that is offered us on the YouTube channel. But we thank you so very much for coming on. I want to thank my sister Rebecca for showing up. Thank her so much for her intelligence and her information. We have vibes. Thank you, Charlie, for being my engineer and helping me through. Charlie, I want to thank you for always being there for me. One love. We enjoy Sunday evening. And to all those who didn't make it to the studio audience but are in the listening audience, we give thanks also. And I want to say to you all, good night. This is Lady Gomez signing off. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful evening. And we want to let the words of our mouth and we speak our heart. Have a nice night.